Okay, I think we're live now. Awesome. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Jet Program Livestream Q&A Part 2. Part me, Part Sun, Part no, that's 3. JK. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. It's too early. Anyway, so welcome and thank you for joining us today. Today's live stream is going to be all about Tokyo orientation, about pre-departure, like a little bit about pre-departure, getting to Tokyo, getting from the airport to the Keio Plaza, what you're doing in Tokyo orientation, and then like getting to your placement, and a little bit about like what you're going to be doing after you get to your placement and that kind of thing. All right, so I'm going to throw it over to Lily for some intros. Lily, please.
Okay, so today we have 3 panelists, and let's have them introduce themselves, starting with June.
Hello, I am. Well, let me speak a little closer here. My name is June. I am in Akita, and Akita Prefecture, and I am. This is going to be my second year coming up, and I teach in 2 elementary schools and 1 junior high.
Okay, awesome. All right, Nash.
Okay, hi, my name is Nash. I live in Mito in Ibaraki. I am just finishing my first year on JET, and I teach at 4 senior high schools.
Okay. All right, next up we have Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Ruth. I'm a 5th year JET living in Hyogo Prefecture. I teach at a junior high school and I'm also a JET vice chair this year, so you'll probably see me at Tokyo orientation.
Okay, awesome. All right, and now my co-host, Lily.
Hey, I'm Lily. I also live in Hyogo Prefecture. I'm an elementary ALT going on my 3rd year. I'm the social media director for AJET, so I'm the person behind the messages that y'all send me. So nice to see you all. And over to Laura.
Okay, and I am your other co-host, Laura. I am going to be a 5th year JET. I'm in Yamanashi Prefecture. I'm also AJET Block 4 rep, Kala. I will not be at Tokyo orientation, unfortunately, but I hope that you guys have a fun time at Tokyo orientation. And without further much ado, let's get started on our questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lily, you want to take the first question?
Okay, first question says, how did you feel the night before you left? And I'm just gonna pick June to go first to answer, if you will.
I was real anxious because I was still packing the night before I left. But there was a point where I just said, you know what, I'm going to take care of. I'm going to get everything in my mind ready to get on the airplane because I'll figure everything out when I get to Japan. I got most of my essentials, so by the time I got to the airport, I felt a lot better. So.
Good. Okay, so next let's have Rebecca give her.
Yes.
The night before departure, I was just excited. I had to travel 8 hours to get to Colorado where I would be leaving from. So I had already done my panicking and double and triple checking my packing. And I just felt good and ready to go and get to the consulate and let them guide me through the process.
Nice.
Good.
Okay.
And Nash, how about you?
Hi, sorry, I had to disappear. Someone knocked my door and he was like, do you speak Japanese? I'm like, do not speak to me right now.
Was it the NHK guy?
I don't know. It's just some guy. He put a leaflet through my door. It's about furniture. I don't know. I'll look at it later. Anyway, night before leaving it was basically just packing and stressing about not knowing whether I had packed everything that I needed to take, or correspondingly whether I'd packed way too much stuff. That's basically my overriding memory of the night before. I think the nights, like maybe the week before, is when you start to feel, oh my gosh, I'm going, oh my gosh, it's really happening. You start to feel sad, you start to preemptively miss people. But the very night before, it's just a bit of stress, basically. It's a space, but it's mainly just stress. That's pretty much it.
Telling it real. And let's have Laura. How about you?
So the night before I left for pre-departure, I was really nervous and a little bit sad because I knew it would be probably one of the last times I slept in my room at home, and it was because my parents moved like 2 months later. And then like the night before, I was actually telling everybody before we got on here, the night before we left for Japan, I was at my pre-departure in Nashville, and we went to the consul general's house for like a party. On the way back, though, our bus that was taking us to our hotel to stay at near the airport, it got lost and then stuck in downtown Nashville, and it like tried to turn around, and the bus wheel got stuck and it couldn't turn. So in the end, one of my fellow Jets came to the rescue, and he called airport shuttles for us to get to our hotel. So that was stressful, but it was scary.
Glad
So
that it
yeah,
all worked out.
yeah. I mean, I'm here. So, but yeah, it's like, yeah. I mean, I was excited too, but I was very nervous and stressed, and still repacking things in the hotel that night. I think I didn't get to bed till like 2 a.m. or something, and then had to get up at like 6 or something. So yeah. Okay, Lily, how about you? Do you remember what it was like?
Well, to be honest, for the JET program, it was like my third time coming or moving to Japan, rather. So, like, for that in particular, I actually just felt really great and ready to go and just like, let's go, let's do this. But I remember the first time I moved to Japan, I felt like nauseous for weeks and I couldn't sleep and I wanted to back out. It was just like, oh, I can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. So if anybody ends up feeling that way, I feel like that's probably normal. And usually when I feel those things, I just try to calm myself down and say that, oh, this is just the universe testing me to see if I can break through this fear. Because, invaluable experiences often come with challenges and fears. So just gotta truck through it. And that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Good advice. Good advice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the next question. So again, about pre-departure. And so what was the process of you guys like getting from pre-departure, maybe like orientation, to actually like getting to Japan? Let's say like from pre-departure to arriving in Japan, what was your whole process like? Just kind of generally. Okay, let's start with Nash this time.
Okay. So in the UK, I flew out of London. We had pre-departure orientation about a month, maybe, or at least maybe like 3 or 4 weeks before we flew out. So it's like a mandatory event. Everyone has to go because that's when they take your passport to get it sent off for visas and whatnot. And the actual event itself, like the actual pre-departure orientation, I'm sure people have done that by now in the UK, so it's probably not very useful information to hear, but it's just you kind of meet other people who are going on JET. They give you some information. They do some basic information about how to self-study Japanese and things like that. And then on the actual day when your flight's going to leave, you basically make your own way to Heathrow. You get your passport back. You get your plane tickets and everything like that. You get told which plane you're going to take because they send multiple planes from Heathrow on the same day. And that's essentially it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at that for now.
Okay. All right, Rebecca, how about you? What was your experience like?
So I believe my pre-departure was the night before we left, so it was nice to meet a lot of the people who I would be traveling with, and some of them I met again in Japan. I still know. But it really was a painless process. The consulate knew what they were doing. They told us where to go, when to be there, and when we showed up, they counted heads, and it was just like, a line of ducklings through the airport and through all these processes. There's really not much to worry about, and there's not really any room to make mistakes as long as you follow the instructions you're given.
Okay, and June, how about you?
It's pretty much mirrors both Rebecca and Nash's. We had the pre-orientation the night before. They were very specific about all the instructions about what to do, what not to do. And I flew out of Chicago, so we had a really large group. So the important thing was to make sure if you're on the American Airlines flight or the Japan Airlines flight, when we got to the airport, we pretty much we kind of found each other in the pre-orientation. Like we made friends. Oh, are you flying out of JAL or are you flying out of AA? And so we kind of were like, oh, let's make sure we try to find each other on the plane. So at least we had a buddy to kind of latch onto. Once we got to the terminal, we pretty much knew where we were because you saw all the jets there. So it was, yeah.
Okay. And Lily, how about you?
Basically what everyone else said. Like the consulate's pretty much on top of their game, so all I had to do was just listen to instructions and follow. It's pretty simple, and probably the long plane flight was the hardest part of it all for me.
Yeah, I know. For me, we had pre-departure orientation the night before, and like I said, went to the consul general's house, proceeded to get lost, and then go back to our hotel. But yeah, it's the same thing as like, you have pre-departure or you gather at the airport, and then you just stay with your jet group basically throughout your entire flight until you get to the airport to Narita. And I think for us too, Nashville, we ended up on the same flight as people from the Detroit consulate. So we kind of met some of the other jets, like while we were waiting in Detroit for our flight, which was pretty cool because it's like you kind of all end up at the same place, like all going on, and you're like, oh hey, people. I don't know, it's just exciting. Okay, all right. So next one, Lily.
All right, next question says, what was the arrival process like at Narita, and how long does it take from getting off the plane to getting on the bus to Tokyo orientation? Let's start with Rebecca.
Okay. So I can't give any kind of accurate estimation of how long it actually took because there were all the normal parts of, we've got to go and wait at the carousel to pick up everybody's luggage that had been checked, and then we all had to like go to the next point and wait there. It was just hurry up and wait. I would say it felt like a long time because it is very hot and very muggy when you arrive. So I would dress tactically for that, especially if you're going to be cold on the plane. Make sure like you can take off some clothes easily so that when you're waiting, they had us waiting outside for the bus for a while. Yeah, I think maybe it took about an hour from arrival until we got on that bus.
Oh, yeah. All right. And next, June.
Okay.
What do you think?
Again, sounds familiar. I remember because I've traveled quite a bit already, so I've kind of already prepared for. I've been to Japan during the summer. I kind of know how hot it got, so I went to the plane with. I kind of wore a t-shirt and a hoodie and shorts, so that way I could take off the hoodie on the plane, or put the hoodie on the plane, and then be able to like tie it away as soon as I got to Tokyo because, man, it really was hot. So, but yeah, it was a lot of basically a lot of being told, oh, go here, go there, and kind of just following the crowd, following the herd, for the most part. So, and usually if I was confused, someone else was confused. So I was able to find someone, ask, oh, I don't know how to do this, or where do we go after that? So, for the most part, yeah. And then when we waited for the buses, yeah, it was a lot of waiting in the really, really hot weather. So.
All right. And let's have Nash. Anything?
Hi. Okay. So, my arrival process. Well, last year for Group B arrivals, there was an issue at Narita with residence cards. So my main overriding memory of arrival at Narita is not being able to receive a residence card, and then like the months of issues and trauma that caused, which I highly doubt future jets, especially this year, we're gonna have to face. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. When you arrive, depending on how you fly, you may very well be extremely tired. You may very well be slightly hungover. You will undoubtedly be overwhelmed by the heat. It feels warm when you come off the plane and get into the airport and you think, wow, this is hot. And then you realize that that's the air-conditioned airport. And then you step outside and then it's actually really hot.
Yeah.
And we arrived at 9 p.m. and it was still 35 degrees or so. So I can't imagine what it must have been like at the height of the middle of the day. If you arrive early, if your plane arrives early, it's a really good day to get your bearings, to explore a bit around the hotel, to see what there is to see. Our plane arrived quite late in the evening, so we didn't really get much chance to explore. And to be honest, we were extremely tired anyway. No, I think like if you arrive early, take that day, take the opportunity to do some daytime Tokyo stuff, because you probably won't get a chance to do anything else in the day in central Tokyo during orientation, because daylight hours are pretty full up. So yeah, that's my major recommendation.
Thank
Don't
you,
drink
Nash.
too much on the plane. Sorry.
Thank you. No, you're doing great. Love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And Laura, have anything to add?
So, I think the whole process, I think like Rebecca said, it took maybe an hour because we were the same year, so we had pretty much the same thing. And it was, I remember like getting off the plane, you go through immigration, of course, and get all that done, get your bags, and it is like a conveyor belt actually through Narita. There's people stationed outside of arrivals. They're like from the arrivals to where the buses are. And I don't know if they still do this for you newer guys, if they still had like volunteers that would tell you like go this way. Did they still have that? Like June and Nash?
I think so. I don't remember ever feeling that I was lost or confused at any point during the process.
Okay.
So I imagine there either were like people saying go this way, go that way, or we moved in such a large crowd that it was extremely difficult to get lost. If you, like, try not to go to the bathroom without telling a few people because
Yeah.
you could get left behind.
Yeah. Right.
But apart from that, it's like I don't think there's any confusion about anything.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. And I know my year there were some jet volunteers that were stationed throughout Narita that would say like, "Hi, everybody, welcome, go here," and then you move a little bit along the line in the herd, and there would be more people. Eventually, just make your way to where the buses were, and yeah, and I'd say it probably took about an hour or so, but due to the way it moves, you don't have time to like really go and do anything else. And like Nash said, probably if you need to go to the bathroom or something, like just tell somebody, just be like, hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm not lost. Like it's fine. So
Like it's
yeah,
unlikely that you'll get left behind at Narita, but
yeah, it's highly unlikely. I think.
don't make it easy to be left behind at
when they're
Narita.
counting
Yeah.
heads.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good answers, Lily.
But all I gotta say is lots of queuing up, lots of lines, and but you just follow your consulate and try to stick with the crowd like everyone else mentioned. And in my experience, it's not super zippy, but it wasn't really grueling either. Just kind of like what you would expect, I feel. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So on that note too, another question about that is there time during all this for you to get money and pick up Wi-Fi and things? Because that gets asked a lot amongst new jets, like incoming jets. And I just wanted to know what you guys thought about it. All right. Let's start again with June this time.
I did not think we had time. There was a brief moment where we were waiting for the buses, but I remember thinking, man, I'm glad I brought all my money with me because I don't think I would have had time to pick it up. Same with Wi-Fi. At some point, I walked by and so in Narita, there's a bunch of booths where you can get like SIM rentals, phone rentals, all that fun stuff. But I just remember kind of being herded around and thinking, oh man, thank goodness I have T-Mobile because T-Mobile's free international. So I was like, oh, I would not have had time to pick that up. So yeah.
Okay. And Nash, what do you think?
Nope, no
water,
time.
sorry.
There's no time. But anything that is in Narita is also in Shinjuku. So like don't feel like you have to get anything there that you won't be able to when you get into Tokyo itself. Yeah. So don't worry. But there's Wi-Fi in the airport. If you desperately need to contact someone, you don't need to go to the Sakura mobile table and ask them for a pocket Wi-Fi, and you can just connect to the airport Wi-Fi. And then you're on the bus. The bus has Wi-Fi. You get to the airport has Wi-Fi. You'll be fine.
Okay, Rebecca?
Yeah, there's just no time. And it's also like there's no need, really. As they said, you can have access to Wi-Fi pretty much throughout the whole thing. And in terms of getting money, I know a lot of people are anxious about that, but it will actually be really easy to get money. For example, at the hotel, I believe there's a 7-Eleven, and you can do international withdrawals there. So you can get Japanese money if you haven't been able to get it ahead of time before leaving your home country. So it'll be really accessible. When I went, there were a couple of people who kind of went rogue and said, "This is my chance. I need to go get that Wi-Fi right now," because they thought they needed to, and it caused a lot of problems, and we had to spend a lot of time waiting outside while the organizers figured out like where this person was. So I would say don't do that.
Yeah, it takes a while to get the Wi-Fi too.
Yeah.
Just one thing real quick. Not like the 7-Eleven ATM idea is a really good idea. And I think you've got time. I think everyone has time before leaving now to organize, if you can, some sort of withdrawals card or a credit card or something that has zero to no, like just no international transaction fees in your home country, because you'll find that to be by far the easiest way to get money from home to Japan. Sending money from Japan back home is a bit more involved, but it's not as there's never really as pressing a need as when you've run out of money at the end of the month and you need to get some money from mom and dad. Get yourself a nice card or something that you can use in 7-Elevens, because when you find yourself in your placement and you might be quite far away from a major city, odds are there'll still be a 7-Eleven or a Family Mart nearby, and just being able to access international currency easily and with no fees is extremely valuable. But you do need to set it up before you come out to Japan, or at least ask your bank whether or not your card or your account is already set up in such a fashion.
Okay. Good advice. All right, Lily.
My experience is not much different from everyone else's. Consulate was just very chop about time, no time to dilly-dally, no nonsense. So I don't remember anyone in our group trying to pick up Wi-Fi or money, but I do know that once you get to Keio Plaza and you're just in that Shinjuku area, there's a lot of resources to use, like the 7-Eleven. There's even a money exchange machine in the Keio Plaza. So anything that you need will be there. So I would just say not to worry about it.
Yeah, and same here. I think myself, I was more worried about just getting to the Keio Plaza, so I just didn't even consider it an option of stopping. I think that to me is the priority of just getting to Tokyo, and then after that, anything else is kind of just extra on top of it. So money, you're not gonna have an issue really, and then Wi-Fi, that'll be up to you whether you want to get a pocket Wi-Fi somewhere or in Shinjuku or somewhere. But yeah, at the airport, don't recommend it. Okay. So, all right, Lily, next question.
Our next question seems kind of simple. It just says, how do you get to the Keio Plaza?
Yes.
So, I mean,
you take the Tokyo Expressway.
Do you want to take this one, Nash?
Yes, yeah. I do actually.
How did you get to the Keio Plaza?
I think everyone comes into Narita. So I think everyone comes into Narita. So from Narita to Keio Plaza, you'll get a bus. And especially if you're there in the daytime when you can still see stuff, it's actually kind of great, because if you've never been to Japan before, if you've never been to Tokyo before, just driving from Chiba, Narita is in Chiba Prefecture, and it's in a fairly rural part of Chiba. And driving from Chiba into the biggest city in the world is quite an awe-inspiring experience, especially when you just arrived, you're just beginning on jet. That's kind of cool. But the answer to the question is you get there by bus on the expressway.
Yeah.
Anything
does
anyone have
do we need anybody else to answer this question? I mean, But this question did come up in the group though. It did come up in the incoming Jets group. Somebody did ask about like how do you get to Tokyo? Like they were worried about getting from the airport. So yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
We can move on to the next question
Yeah,
if that's
we
all
should move
right.
on.
You
Sure,
can
Lily,
take the
just
next
take that one.
Oh, you
Okay.
want me to take another one?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. The next one says, what luggage can you bring to Tokyo or on the bus, and do they weigh your stuff? Let's start with June.
What luggage can you bring on the bus to Tokyo? They definitely they took my the biggest ones, the what do you call it, those check-ins. They took my check-ins from me. I kept my carry-on bag with my suit and my orientation clothes with me, so that came in a carry-on suitcase, and I also had a backpack with me. So I don't know if that's. I don't think they weigh. I don't remember them weighing it though, so I think that was fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a backpack and a carry-on suitcase.
Backpack. All right. Yeah. Anything else, Rebecca?
I thought that they did weigh our luggage, just as in kind of standard airport travel. When you check your luggage, they definitely weigh it then, so you need to pay attention to what's allowed. They may or may not weigh and check the size of the luggage that you bring onto the plane. It really depends on the company that you're going with and how worried they are about space. But I would say, if at all possible, like know what you're allowed to have and check it, so you're not worrying about possibly having to dump things at the airport or something, which is stress you really don't need.
Sorry, I thought I was talking about from Tokyo to from Narita to Shinjuku.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry, I went a little ahead, but yeah.
Okay. And Nash, got anything for us?
Yeah, just your from your home country to Tokyo, your consulate or whoever's organizing your plane ticket will let you know which airline you're flying with, and hopefully will also tell you what your baggage allowance is. If they don't, check the airline. It's different for everyone and for every airline. Once you're in Tokyo, I don't think they weigh your bags when they're sending them off to wherever they're going to. Ultimately, I think if it's okay for it to be packed onto the plane, it's probably okay for it to be taken to wherever it's going to go. Make sure back in your home country that you pack a carry-on bag that you can live out of for the duration of Tokyo orientation, and ideally maybe a couple of days after, just in case. And yeah, anything that you know that you're going to definitely need while you're in orientation, make sure it's in that carry-on bag. Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh, we have a hand raised.
Oh, sorry, I budged. It wasn't my turn, but I was going to say what he's saying there is absolutely right about preparing for the full duration of Tokyo orientation, also a little bit after, because there are sometimes situations where the luggage that gets sent ahead of you that you checked or whatever your big luggage doesn't arrive at the same time you do due to a mix-up or something. But I would also say to leave a little room in the luggage that you're going to bring, because they're going to give you a lot of papers at Tokyo orientation that you're not necessarily going to know how to make use of or understand because you don't have the framework, but are really useful references, and so you should not just toss them, because working with AJET, a lot of the questions that people have and things people don't know were actually answered at Tokyo orientation, and they just didn't quite have the framework to understand it at that time.
Good point. And can we move to Laura if you have anything for us?
So, yeah, they definitely don't weigh your luggage when you get on the bus. It's just standard procedure to do it in the airport, right? Before you get on the plane. But you most likely will be sending your bigger bags on before you get on the bus, and they will collect those when you get to the bus. At least they did my year, and then they will handle it for you. You should have some kind of like special luggage tag that you've received or you will receive. and you will attach it, and it should have your placement information on there. They will send it to your placement that way. So then you can bring some lighter stuff, like June said, brought a backpack or carry-on. I recommend that you don't bring that much to Tokyo Orientation, just because you're going to have to be dealing with like getting there, and then when you leave to go to your placement, you don't want to have to carry a lot of big baggage with you, especially if you're going places where you have to like go upstairs a lot. There's a lot of like stairs, even in Shinjuku Station. Sometimes you just get on a platform and there's no like escalator or elevator. There's just like stairs, or there might be an elevator, but it might be like around and in a not very convenient location for you. So I just recommend not bringing too much to orientation. But also, like Rebecca said, bring enough where you can, and Nash too, you said it, like bring enough where you can survive Tokyo Orientation, and then perhaps a little bit after that. It did happen. It actually happened last year that one of the new jets here, one of his bags didn't arrive in time, and they had to like go searching for it. They finally did find it, but it just took a while. It took like a couple weeks, I think, before it arrived. So that does happen. Okay, and Lily, got anything to add?
Not much. I mean, I kind of go a little bit crazy with the baggage. I had 2 giant suitcases along with a smaller suitcase and then a big bag. So, and I had this whole like a system set up where like I had hooks like hooking the like baggage together so I could just roll them all together like all like no sweat. But they do have you ship your larger baggage at the airport. In my case, just at the airport, it's shipped off before we get on our bus. So I just had the smaller rolling suitcase and my purse, and that's all I needed to survive. So yeah.
Oh, can I add one thing? One thing I did, thank you. One thing I did was in one of my big bags, I packed a smaller messenger bag. So I had my backpack. I believe did I have a carry-on? I think I had a carry-on, a small carry-on. And then I also packed a smaller messenger bag. And when we were at the baggage carousel, I had just enough time to open my big bag, take out all of my big toiletries, and stick them in my messenger bag. And that way, like, that was fine. Like, taking that onto the bus was also fine. And I managed to have all of my big toiletries with me, which was quite helpful as well, since I didn't have to pack, like, smaller versions, or, I could save that extra luggage space. So if you want to do something like that, and you will have like a 5-minute break, when you get your bags, you can do like really quickly, like get everything out, and then make sure it's in a convenient location just to get in there, and you're good to go. So
smart.
Yes, Rebecca. Yeah, Rebecca, you got something to add?
Yeah, sorry, I just remembered, and I think there is also one more chance, kind of after Tokyo Orientation on the last day, to send some more luggage ahead of you. So if you packed, a decent-sized bag that was just for Tokyo Orientation, and then you don't need it, and you don't want to personally carry it across Japan, I'm pretty sure that they had an option for us to bring it down at a certain time in the morning, maybe like an hour or two before we left, and then they would send it on to our placement. Does anyone else remember that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah.
I don't remember that for mine, but then again, I didn't need it, so I probably didn't pay attention if it was mentioned, fortunately. I just wanted to quickly add on just to like the whole theme of sending luggage around Japan. If you like me, like my flight had a pretty limited baggage allowance. And there was a whole bunch of stuff that I was hoping to take with me to Japan because I'm just that kind of a person. So I sent bags ahead of time with a separate like courier company. And if that's something that you're interested in doing, that's again something that you probably need to start organizing now in the weeks leading up to leaving. And also, if you're in contact with your contracting organization, or ideally your future supervisor even, or just someone from the Board of Education that you're going to be working at, they will probably be able to give you an address to send it to, which will most likely be your base school, or maybe just the Board of Education building or wherever. But yeah, that's just useful information to have, and it's probably where your bags are going to be sent to from Narita anyway.
Yeah, that's actually really good that you mentioned that, because that's actually something we didn't have on the list actually, but about sending baggage ahead of time. especially if you have larger baggage and you have more things than that you might need for the coming months.
So I got something to add to that.
Yeah.
So because I live in Tohoku, we get some pretty intense winters. So I knew I needed to have winter clothes, but I didn't have any space in my luggage to pack it. So I had my winter clothes pre-packed, and I since I had my parents graciously who said they would send it for me, I had them do that. So that at least I had room in my suitcase for other things. So I say you don't have to send everything now. If you can, either get someone to ship it for you later. It's expensive though, or ship it like Nash said, ship it ahead of time. I think that's a better option. Also, I was going to add to what Rebecca said in terms of luggage weights. So what I did also, I think many people will do this too. I had a scale, and I just weighed my suitcase on that to make sure that there were no surprises at the airport. Um, that way, I wasn't like overweight or anything like that because it's expensive if your suitcase is overweight. I think it's like what, $50 or $100 or something like that. Up to like something.
Yeah, in America, yeah, definitely.
For our airline had I think it was 30 pounds or something per kilogram overweight that you were at.
Oh wow.
So people were saying, oh, maybe we can just buy extra luggage at from the airline at the airport, which many airlines will let you do. But ours said absolutely not. You can pay per kilogram of extra weight that your new suitcase is going to take. But yeah, just to send a 25-kilogram suitcase would have added an extra 500, 600 pounds to what was supposed to be a free flight from Jet. But yeah, so no one did that. Hence the sending bags ahead of time. Also, just real quick, just like basic travel tip. If you think you're only going to need to bring one big heavy winter coat, and you don't want to have that sent ahead, and you don't have space in your luggage, it's going to suck. But just put it on, just wear it. That's going to be what you travel in.
Yeah.
And if you're going to like where it's going to be cold,
yeah,
it'll be horrible when you arrive, but you'll have your coat.
Right. I mean, I packed my coat and my luggage because I didn't want to have to send it later. And then I was just like, I live on a mountain. I live on a mountain, and I knew that we got a lot of winter and weather and snow. So I was like, I'm gonna need my coat. Let's just pack it. So we did, and some boots as well. Yeah, didn't have to worry about that when like October came around and it was ridiculously cold. So yeah. Okay, Rebecca, do you have something to add?
I kind of have the perspective of having approached packing from the opposite perspective. It seems like everybody else. I packed really minimally. I did not check any luggage at all. I just brought a carry-on in my purse, and that was perfectly fine. Japan has everything, and I didn't think there was anything weird about that at all until I saw everybody else was checking these enormous bags, and then I was like, oh my god, have I made a terrible mistake? But if you're like me and that's your approach to packing and travel, I would say don't worry about it. That will also work just fine. Almost everything you can get in Japan. So unless you have something that's really specialty or so expensive you don't want to buy another one in your life, it might be fine to just get it here.
I was about to say that like I packed too many winter clothes. I ended up just sending them to a recycle shop and ended up buying half my winter outfits in Japan already. So yeah, that might have been a lot smarter for me to do too. So
yeah, I didn't really keep or use anything of what I brought from the United States because it just wasn't really suitable for like the climate and humidity here, or it wasn't in fashion. And it's not, like you have to care super much about matching what everybody else is doing, but at some point you start to realize like that you're standing out, and maybe you want, I don't know, you want to kind of match what everybody else is doing because you're a little social.
Yeah, I think you guys have some good points, and I think it's definitely dependent on like where you're placed and what needs you have, of course. I know for me, like I brought enough stuff to do me for a while until I could figure out kind of what the clothing situation was here, because sometimes it's dependent on your size and what you like as well. And you might not be able to get some things especially if you're in more Inaka, like country places. But then other areas, it might be fine. Like if you do live near bigger cities, it might be fine. My advice on that area is just to bring kind of what you will need for, I'd say, a good month or so, like things that you can cycle through and just wear, to work, to school, to and out casually as well, layers, etc. Do you really need like that, 5 pairs of boots or 5 pairs of sneakers? I mean, if that's important to you, go for it. But if not, you do kind of have to figure out like what you can really bring and what you can't. So yeah, we've gotten into a lot of luggage stuff.
Sorry, for shoes specifically, actually, if you have slightly larger feet or feet that are larger than the Japanese average and you're going to someplace that's a little more rural, it might be a good use of your luggage space to bring a slightly irrational amount of shoes. Because I've got size 9 feet and it can be really hard to find shoes that work American size 9. So yeah, it can be really hard to find women's shoes in Japan in my size.
I also have size 9 feet, so I understand that struggle. I wear dude shoes. Sorry, everybody had like no reaction to that.
I wasn't sure I understood you.
I said I wear guys' shoes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wear sneakers.
Same, I am on that boat.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Like for men, do you guys have a hard time finding shoes that work for you here?
Shoes is the biggest one. Clothes is kind of hit and miss. I'm a pretty chunky guy, and there's a lot of places where you won't be able to find much in your size. But then again, I'm not really a clothes shopper anyway. I've had the same set of clothes since 2009, I think. So I just brought almost my entire wardrobe, and I've kind of gone through all of them over and over and over again, just as I did back home. What was I gonna say? Yeah, no, it's a really good idea to bring a pair of like big old chunky wintry trekking shoes and things like that. And again, wear them on the plane because they're really heavy and chunky and they're gonna take up a lot of space in your suitcase. But they don't wear your feet.
So, I am, in terms of clothes, I'm lucky because I am a US medium/large, so it's a Japanese large/XL. But anything larger than that, yeah, it's going to be a little bit harder. For shoes, I think my shoe size is 28 centimeters. It's about a size 10-ish in America. There are some places that only go up to like 26.5 or something like that for men. So I'm like, oh, crap. But I've been able to find shoes relatively easily. The other issue with shoes that I found in Japan, for at least me, is the sole. They don't have insoles. So like they hurt my feet really bad, so I have to buy separate insoles, and they're still not that great. But that's probably the biggest thing. I brought my own at least 3 pairs of shoes just in case, and I'm kind of glad I did. Yeah. So.
Okay. All this is some good stuff, guys.
Yeah.
So, just one more thing, one more little question I want to add on to this. Is there anything like packing wise, since we're still talking about luggage, packing wise, that you recommend bringing from your home countries? Like something like you're really glad that you brought, or even things maybe you're not so glad that you brought. So, anything, Rebecca? Do you have anything?
Well, everyone's going to say deodorant, I bet, because I don't know, especially like a lot of Americans don't really like Japanese deodorant. And toothpaste. You might want to bring, just a little supply of whatever it is that you like to use, because that can make a pretty big difference. For me, makeup, because a lot of Japanese everything really, like clothes and cosmetics, kind of operates off of, one size fits all. And if you're outside of that box on either direction, it can be really hard for you to find something that works. And as for like things that I didn't need to spend so much room bringing, I brought a lot of skirts and things like that because I thought I needed to be like dressing up a little bit more than I needed to at my workplace, and I ended up not really needing that kind of thing so much. So you will need like some kind of standard businessy things, but just don't try to predict too much what you're going to need. Just try to bring something that covers one or two things that cover each kind of basics for formality, and just don't stress too hard about that.
All right, Nash, any advice on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about like so long as you're not spending exorbitant amounts of money like shipping things back from home to wherever you're going to get to. Like I don't feel any strong like regret about bringing something here. There's stuff that I didn't bring from home, which I wish I had, but it's still just like little bits and pieces, like random cables or bits of sound equipment or whatever. Then I'm just like, oh, I wish I had that, but it's in my attic at home or something like that. But nothing really major. I think I think people of color should worry about like, well, not worry, but like should consider things like oil, shampoos and conditioners and texturizers and hair picks and all that kind of stuff. Unless you're in a fairly big city or like near a fairly big city, it can be a bit difficult to find shops that sell that kind of thing. Then again, the internet is a wonderful place where you can get almost anything that you might need, but it will be probably at a premium because it's not a really common product. It wouldn't be a very common product out here. I think deodorant is like it's worth getting. Again, you can kind of get that online. I think toothpaste I found to be reasonably easy to find, like fluoridated toothpaste and things like that. Stuff that you like use, especially if it's like weird and esoteric stuff. It's worth bringing a supply of that. But by and large, you shouldn't have any sort of dental or odor related issues that Japan wouldn't be able to solve with the products that it has around. If even like you might need to do a bit of digging in order to find things that really suit you. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Okay, and June, how about you?
Well, like Nash said, with the wonderful power of the internet, you can get pretty much anything delivered to your door. So I didn't really things that I got that I brought here. I realized later that I didn't really need to bring it because I could have just bought it in Japan. Um, I mean, I'm glad I brought my laptop so I could do some work at home. And I'm glad I brought some forms of entertainment, though I didn't really use it. What I really actually appreciated that I brought were I had my snow boots, or they're like like anti-slip boots shipped to me because I was told that my city gets it doesn't stop snowing from November to February, and I'm kind of glad I brought those boots because I often have to walk through like a whole lot of snow for that. But again, that's something I could have bought here if I really wanted to. I was just very particularly attached to these boots. But other than that, yeah, the most I would say that I was happy about were my electronics. That's about it. And even those I could have just left at home. So.
Just quickly tagging onto electronics. Definitely, if you like, don't think like I would not recommend buying a laptop or anything like that, especially a laptop in Japan. I recently bought a laptop in Japan, and it has a Japanese keyboard, and it's horrible. I hate it. Everything is in the wrong place. All the buttons don't make any sense. I've made it so that it's like pretending to be a British keyboard, but the keys that I'm now typing don't match what's actually on the keys anymore. There's hiragana on them. I don't need that. It's anyway.
Punctuations and weird spaces.
Exactly. If you need to get a new laptop, get it now.
And it's cheaper.
Okay.
Exactly. And if you're in America, certainly it'll be cheaper. In the UK, it's actually cheaper to get one here, but it comes at a significant lifestyle cost. Get an American jet to bring you one. Actually, I don't know. Is that even legal? I don't know. Don't do that. Don't do that.
It's probably fine. I'm not encouraging any illegalities, but it's probably fine.
Exactly. International tax evasion. Oh God. Never mind.
Yeah, JK. Just forget it. If we said anything, we didn't say anything. All right, cool. So, Lily, do you have anything about luggage or things that you like really were glad that you brought? Or
Yeah, I agree with everyone. The toiletries, the toothpaste, the deodorant that's given, yes, and the computer thing. I didn't think of that, but I did bring my own laptop. I'm really glad I did because I don't like the setup for a Japanese laptop. But I'm gonna get a little like gooey ooey and like cringy. And I packed a lot of like sentimental items. Like I have my dog that I got from my best friend from like middle school and stuff here. Like makes me feel like, you know, less homesick. So just like things that are sentimental to you, cards from your family, anything that just brings a smile to your face. I'm really glad I brought all those. Like it wasn't just like collecting dust in my house. Like it actually does like a good job of like keeping me grounded, keeping me from getting too homesick. So that's it.
Yeah.
It will be really useful for show and tell lessons in your schools.
Oh yeah.
The inevitable show and tell lessons.
Yes. Yeah, I brought a few sentimental items too, like things that I was like, oh, I decorated my apartment in my old job like this, and I really want to keep these, so they don't take up much space. It's like, oh, I'll just bring them, and you know, it's nice to have like little bits of home as well. I don't regret bringing those.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's a really good point, because that is actually one of the recommended ways for kind of dealing with the inevitable homesickness and culture shock, is having those kind of touchstone items. So that was a really good thing to mention, Lily.
Okay. All right. So I think we've had a good talk about luggage and about packing. And I'm actually going to skip a little bit. We've got like what happens after arriving at the Keio Plaza, but I think we'll just go ahead and talk about like Tokyo orientation in itself. And like that's a big nugget that we gotta deal with here. And also, very soon, Lily will have to leave us, sadly. So let's go ahead and get into the meat of that. So
I'll try to stay as long as I can, but yes.
Okay. Yes. Everybody got places to be, things to do. So okay. So the question for Tokyo orientation, basically, what happens at Tokyo orientation? Like, okay, let's start with when you get there Sunday, right? You have free time to just chill and just kind of do whatever, get settled in, etc. But like starting Monday, what happens? Okay, June, can you remember what happened last year?
Man, it went by like a blur. I remember there are several lectures. Basically, sit in a gigantic room with a whole ton of jets, and we listened to a couple of lectures, a couple of stories about like there were some older jets, there some like jets from um, like the first days of jet, for example. Some of their stories. We heard some lectures from some of the about programs that are currently going on with Next. If you know, everyone knows what Next is. And I think we had someone from Claire also give us a speech. So there's that. And then I remember we went to some workshops, and they were specific to where you're placed. So I had mostly elementary school workshops, and they would have like a couple sample lessons and some old ALTs and stuff like that. I remember the day starting pretty early though. We had breakfast and we went straight to a session, and it was basically back-to-back sessions, lunch, back-to-back sessions, and then 4 or 5 o'clock we were finished done for the district. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, okay. And how about you, Nash? Of course, you were the same year, but did you have a similar experience?
Broadly, yeah. I think just like one quick quality of life thing just to sneak in here before I forget. I wanted to say this. In Tokyo, you can't smoke outside. There are smoking areas in the Keio Plaza that you can use, and like they're actually a really good place to meet and chat with other jets. But you can't smoke outside. People get caught out by this every now and then. It's a really bad idea to do. It's horrible to just get shouted at by some policeman walking by. So watch out for that. Monday, you wake up bright and early, you go down, have breakfast with the weird square bacon, then you meet all the other jets and you talk about all the places that you're coming from and how jet lagged you are. Then you go into the huge auditorium room and you see the 1,000 or other people all in their suits and dressed to their best as best as they can under these circumstances. And you listen to some speeches, then you go to some other talks. And it's really just like all on rails kind of stuff. If you've been to a pre-departure orientation at your consulate back home, it's not too dissimilar from that kind of thing. Of course, it's got a lot more Japanese people and a lot more input from like current jets. There will be talks about all kinds of things, about team teaching, about special needs considerations, about culture shock, all kinds of useful stuff. You will inevitably fall asleep at some point because that's just the nature of being in a big room with loads of people in a warm summer day. It's actually like what it felt like to me was like being almost like on a cruise ship, because you're just in this, like, you're in the hotel the entire time with other foreigners from all kinds of places all over the world. You're all dressed like in your Sunday best, and you're all talking about how you're going to be in Japan. You don't actually feel like you're in Japan during Tokyo orientation. It's really eerie. um and I think it's a really good opportunity to try and like find people who are going to be coming to your prefectures or placements, but also to find people who are going to be going to neighboring prefectures that you can hopefully pop into and visit at some point. There will be a few people who inevitably try to create a massive, vast database of people that they will go and visit, and then they never really get around to doing. um, but no, it's good. It's like it's easy. It's like no, it's low stress. It's no fuss. It's a good way just to get a sense of what being a jet is all about. Um, yeah, undoubtedly you'll probably start feeling restless and be like, oh, okay, I want to get stuck in now. Let's go. Let's do this. Okay, I just rambled a lot.
It's okay. It's all good. Good stuff. Lily's just over there, like, I don't know what you're doing, but just kind of laughing. Yeah.
Look, my mic's muted, so I can't
Kind
hear
of
all
like,
my laughing.
I know. Are you okay? You good? Okay. All right. So, okay, Rebecca. So you, of course, you're a little bit more advanced in ALT years. So how was your Tokyo orientation like? What do you remember? Because I'm assuming we were at the same one. If you were you Group B?
I was Group A.
Oh, Group A. Okay, so I was Group B.
But still probably kind of a similar road.
Yeah, I think we probably had a similar situation.
That's different and more intimate, but
yeah,
it's gonna be a similar experience. What I would say is that a lot of ALTs seem to kind of come in with a perspective that this was their great chance for a little bit of adventure in Tokyo, and they didn't want to miss out on opportunities to take advantage of our limited free time. And I would say it's not a bad idea to get out maybe one night and do something, but this is not, your one golden chance at Tokyo. Tokyo will still be there for the whole, year minimum that you're in Japan. And this is actually your first week at work. And it's kind of hard, actually, because it is, just these full days of lectures, basically. Like, you're being asked to intake so much information. And Claire is trying really, really hard to provide us with what we need to do to adjust and to settle into our jobs and to know kind of our rights and our expectations. But the challenge is actually filing all that information into place and being able to focus on it. And especially like was said before, there is a risk of maybe kind of dozing off because it's so long, just so much, and you're probably tired, you're probably jet lagged. So I would say to keep in mind that this is like your first week at work, and also we're representing Jet in a pretty intense way because there's hundreds and hundreds of us right there, and the Japanese people around know what's going on and they're very conscious of it, and yeah.
Yeah, some good points there. Definitely, it is a workplace environment, and you are expected to be there, because it counts as part of your work. That's true. That is very true. Yeah, for me, for my experience from Tokyo orientation, it was I'd been through staff training with my old job before, so it was just sort of like a very small version of that, and I was just like, oh, it's pretty much the same thing as going through like different sessions. Like June and Nash both said, like you're there. It does kind of feel like a cruise ship type situation, and you just kind of stuck in Keio like throughout the whole day. You've got lots of like little workshops to go to that ideally will teach you some things about how to be a good ALT or how to be a good CIR and stuff. But I know for me, I don't really remember any of it. So, so yeah, I did find it helpful in the time though, because I didn't really know what I was coming into. But they are full days. There are like, 9 to 5 o'clock days. And then after that, you do have free time to do what you want. And I think for some people, it can be a good time for them to go out in Tokyo. Something I actually wanted to bring up because I don't know like how you guys feel, but myself, I felt like I live nearish Tokyo, so I was like, oh, I don't really need to go out and see things. Sorry, it's 12 o'clock. That's 12 o'clock bell here. You guys can hear it. But so yeah, it's our city bell. It's our city bell. 6 o'clock we have a chime. So anyway, back to Tokyo orientation. I knew myself living near Tokyo. I was gonna come back, and I didn't need to go out, and I was also very tired. I'm not a very like going out person, but at the same time, there were other people who they're going really far away. You're going to Okinawa, or you're going to Hokkaido, or like Niigata, or like really far away from Tokyo. And if you want to take advantage of that opportunity and go out in Tokyo, I say go live your best life. But also, if you don't feel that need, don't feel like you have to. So I wanted to know what your guys' opinions were on it. But first, Lily, what about your Tokyo orientation business?
I have so many opinions. Okay, so I'm gonna stay on the topic that we were just on. So yes, like it is jam-packed, the Tokyo orientation. They have lots of lectures going on. It's a lot to take in, a lot of information, lots of papers and stuff. But in terms of like free time or having time to explore something, I feel like it's based solely on your energy levels. Like if after a full day of lectures you're just spent, then maybe you don't have so much free time because now you just want to go rest and go to bed. But if you still feel like full of energy, then you can just go ahead and explore during the evening time. In my personal experience, I have a lot of energy and a lot of like, I want to do things. So I made it like a mission to like take myself out on like dates to like the Kawaii Monster Cafe, the Penguin Cafe, going all the way to Nakano and getting the 2-foot long ice cream with 8 different flavors, and reconnecting with some old Japanese friends who live in Tokyo. So I just did everything that I had the energy for, but everyone has different levels of energy, different amounts of things they can take in. So just whatever you're feeling, don't push yourself, but yeah, just do what you want.
Yeah. Okay. So Nash, how about you? How do you feel about the like going out versus not going out part of Tokyo orientation?
It depends on what kind of person that you are, really. If you like going out, then it's a really good chance to go out with like-minded people who are all, because everyone's really psyched and excited to come to Tokyo. There'll be loads of people, maybe even you included, who've never been to Japan before, never been to Tokyo before, maybe never even been to a massive city before. And just to be in the middle of Shinjuku at night with a bunch of like-minded people, I feel like if you want to take the opportunity to go out and get completely wrecked, it's up to you, to be honest. It's obviously not advisable because you're on a work trip, and you should like try and make it so that you can get all your talks and everything the next day. But yeah, no, go out, have fun. I mean, yeah, like they give you this break time in the evening for a reason. You should go and use it as best as you want to. You probably wouldn't get much chance. Well, if you're really like diligent about it, you could probably get pretty like far around Tokyo if you wanted to. But Shinjuku itself has loads to see and do. At least go out and get a nice bowl of ramen or something.
Oh.
Rebecca, do you have something to add here?
Yeah, I was saying, or rather, I want to support what he's saying. Yeah, going out, enjoying yourself, but keeping it to maybe like a level 6 or 7 enjoyment out of 10, because like they will check in, like to make sure you're attending your lectures and things like that. And people have actually lost their jet positions for not showing up. So be cognizant of that. Keep your party to the level where you can work the next day.
Yeah, I think just in general, it's good to just realize that you're gonna have to get up early and stuff. And do you want to be out? I mean, if you can do it, if you feel like you can do it, then you can try. Just I'm just not that kind of person. I'm like, I want to go to bed. want to go to bed. So, but June, how do you feel about like, going out or not going out? Like, what did you do during Tokyo orientation?
I mean, some of my friends wanted to go out, but they got so tired. They were really tired. Even I was like, even though I slept the entire flight, I still felt a bit of jet lag, which I never got before. Because I've been to Japan a few times, but I've never. But this is the first time I've had jet lag that bad in Tokyo, so I didn't push myself. I ended up going out me and another friend. We walked around Shinjuku. We grabbed a bowl of ramen, but one, it was so stinking hot. We were just like, oh, let's just go back to the hotel. Air conditioning is wonderful, and we'll just relax for the night. And I'm kind of really glad I did because, and I remember going back to the hotel. There was people who were going out to go clubbing, and I was like, okay, that's what you want to do. But I remember one of those people when the next day's session, they ended up leaving one of the sessions early because they had to throw up. And
Oh, dang.
yeah, we heard about the story later, and you kind of don't want to do that because one of the Claire people definitely noticed, and they got in a bit of trouble. So definitely don't push yourself. Don't party too hard. Again, it is technically work. The Claire is watching, and you really don't want to be hungover the next morning in orientation. I live all the way up north near Hokkaido, and I figured I'm gonna have a chance to go to Tokyo whenever. So I'm not gonna push myself this time. I'll have all the chances to go to Tokyo and party myself. So yeah, definitely, like everyone said, don't push yourself too hard. Don't force yourself. I would say if you have friends in Tokyo already, probably keep the plan tentative because you don't know how you're gonna feel by the time you like touch down after all the sessions and everything like that. You might just be completely wiped out. So, and you still have to prepare all your clothes for the next morning. So yeah, don't push yourself too hard.
Yeah, it's definitely an individual thing. I think it's like Lily, you were like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it, and you did, and I think that's totally cool. And but other people, you may not feel it, and it's okay if you want to stay in. Like my first night, I stayed in. The second night, I stayed in. The third night, though, because it was our last night, me and other people from my consulate, we did go out in Shinjuku, and we went to dinner, and then we just walked around. We went to a game center, and we went to the Tokyo Metropolitan Building. Here's a pro tip, guys. Right behind Keio Plaza is the Tokyo Metropolitan Building, and it's free, and you can go up to the very top, and there's a gorgeous view of all of Tokyo. And at nighttime, it's great. It's wonderful, and it's totally free. So if you're looking for something kind of fun, chill, but also like a cool experience, Metropolitan Building. There you go, right behind Keio Plaza. I'm not sponsored.
Yeah.
Okay, Lily.
One last thing. I mean, I didn't mean to sound like I did all of that.
No.
I didn't mean to sound like I did like all of that like in one night. Like I definitely spaced it out over
one night,
the couple of days that we were there. I wasn't just like, all right, full day of lectures, go out until 3 a.m. Like, nah, like I had like one goal each day and just set out for the goal after everything was finished at Tokyo orientation. And so like, just had a system set up, just very scheduled and whatnot like that. So that's it. That's all.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff, guys. Okay. My comments are terrible. Okay. So, all right. So as far as Tokyo orientation goes, so we kind of talked about like scheduling and stuff. Of course, everybody's going to get their little schedule book when they arrive, and you'll figure out like what sessions that you'll go to. But like as far as dress code, let's talk about dress code. Lily, how about you take that question?
Yes, I would like to take this question, and then I would like to go to my scheduled appointment. I'm very sorry.
Okay.
But I actually have kind of a funny story. So, I mean, the first day, everyone's usually encouraged to kind of wear like your most professional type of suit, I guess. And, I had this beautifully, like perfectly fitted suit. My mom and I went out and got it. It was like mother-daughter bonding time, and it was just wonderful. And then I wore it and I felt great. And then later it got stolen from my hotel room for, I don't know, whatever reason. But after orientation, I just never saw my suit again. I hung it up and then it was just gone. So I don't know if that was just an accident. Maybe like one of the roommates just accidentally took it and packed it. Don't know, but it wasn't there. So I just have like the advice: please keep an eye on your suits. Just like get a lock for your suitcase. Just pack it in there. I mean, like it sounds like mean or whatever, but I mean, like I really miss that suit. So just keep an eye on your suits and stuff. And then the next couple of days, it's just kind of business casual. Just do whatever, look, nice, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I gotta say.
Good story though to share, really. So
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, on the like dress code for Tokyo orientation. First, Lily, do you need to leave after this? Are you good? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a duck out unless
Okay.
anyone has like a comment for me or anything. But
Your roommate definitely stole your suit.
what?
Your roommate definitely stole your suit.
Well, you probably had like 2 roommates, right? Because
I had like
you should have too.
two or three. I don't remember.
Check their Facebook.
Yeah.
See if they're wearing your suit. And
Yeah. Give us their deets after recon.
I mean, we all seem to wear the same size. I feel. I don't know.
Wow.
That's just
But
weird though.
none of those suits has a mother's love in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the curse now.
Anyway, all right. So it was
Okay.
really nice doing this. Really a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my leave. Yeah, that's just on that note. Keep an eye on your stuff, and you'll be good. But yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks for joining us today. All right. Bye, Lily. Okay. Okay. So, guys, about dress code and orientation and stuff. All right. So, let's start with June this time. June, how was your dress code? What did you feel like you needed to wear to Tokyo orientation? What's your advice for it?
They were pretty specific about guys. It had to be suit and tie, jacket and tie, for guys at least. So pretty much all the guys wore a suit and tie. Throughout the entire session, we had to keep our jackets on too, so that was painful. But you can wear different color shirts, different color ties. It doesn't have to be a white shirt, black tie. I had different color ties and different color. I had like 2 different color ties and 3 different colored shirts, so that at least I can use the shirt as doing something for like going out at night and too. So.
Okay, and yeah, okay, yeah. All right, so Nash, since you're also a guy, how was your guy wear for Tokyo orientation?
Oh, yeah, pretty much exactly as June said, suit and tie. Lots of Jets, probably recent graduates. Whatever you wore to graduation, just wear that same thing to orientation again. It does like they're not gonna judge. There's no fashion police or anything. So long as it is a suit and a tie and it can be like recognized as such, then no one's gonna complain. But they really do want you to have that jacket. I know someone who didn't manage to get into the big speech thingy because he left his jacket in his room because Japan has extremely hot weather, and he thought, that's probably I don't need this jacket today. You do need it, but not for the weather. You need it because Jet tells you need it. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's not too complicated, really.
Okay. And Rebecca, how about a woman's perspective on this?
So I would say that that ALTs kind of occupy a unique position where we are both expected to kind of adhere to the Japanese sense of propriety and business attire, but also we're given just that little bit of allowance. So I would say when you are choosing your outfits for work, for professional things, I would say that it is safe and good to go with the most basic things, so have that black or dark blue, like suit, jacket, and pants or skirt, and a white shirt or something like that. But then you can play with like one variation. So make sure that if you're wearing a dress, for example, make sure it's at the knee or above, and it's a decent cut, or a knee or below, sorry, or or like kind of a business professional cut. But you can have kind of a slightly out there color if it's one of the more casual days. So you need at least one outfit that is just the most basic, bland, just acceptable thing. But then you can put your personality into it a little bit. So it's really kind of like the creativity of coloring between the lines. But make sure that you're not really showing anything. So a lot of things that would be considered quite decent and normal and modest by American standards for sure are pretty scandalous by Japanese standards. One thing to think of is, kind of like covering this area. So, you're going to see high necklines. And part of that is because bowing is so ubiquitous in Japanese culture, Japanese interactions. And if you're wearing something that's a little lower, people are going to see down your shirt every time you lean forward. So I would say that is maybe one of the biggest things to watch out for, to make sure you've got a pretty high neckline in everything that you're bringing to Japan. If it's got a lower neckline, you're probably not going to be able to use it for anything remotely professional.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point actually for women. I think it's a little bit more difficult sometimes for women because we tend to have a few more options, and we also want to wear some different things. For Tokyo orientation specifically, the guys are right, and this applies to everybody. For the opening ceremony, and I think maybe the first or second speech that they give, like the important speeches, they want everyone to be in a suit jacket. Mm-hmm. Every single person got to have a suit jacket. Doesn't matter who you are, have a suit jacket. And that is because this is a Japanese ceremony. Like, they're treating this as a Japanese style ceremony where it's professional. Like, everybody in these Japanese style ceremonies they wear suits. They wear suits. You'll see it when you get to your schools too. People just wear suits. Mm-hmm. But then I know my year for my orientation, after like the first or second thing, they were like, okay, guys, time for cool biz. And you will hear this a lot as well when you get here because it's so hot. They allow a time after that for cool biz, meaning it's like casual business. You don't have to wear your jacket. You can wear your shirt. You can wear, like, I think maybe for guys too, you can even wear like a shorter sleeve shirt.
Polos.
I think that might be, polos, and like just really nice businessy, like lighter things. And the same for women too, because I think the second day I wore a dress. I wore a dress the first day, but I wore a dress and I wore like a black cardigan over it, and it was a light cardigan. And that was fine. That was fine because cool biz was fine. But just make sure you do have that like jacket for the first day for the opening. And then once they tell you, they're like, okay, you can take off your jackets. Then everybody's sort of like, oh, and then, you're still hot, but you're less hot, I guess. And then, for women, like, my advice is, again, like Rebecca said, have a higher neckline, just because it's considered more professional, and especially for this, it is more of a professional event. When you get to your schools, you can, I still recommend high necklines, but when you get to your schools, then you can see what other teachers are wearing, adjust accordingly. And then also on the topic of skirts, typically, if you want to wear skirts or dresses, typically like knee length or below the knee are the standard here. I don't recommend having a higher length. If you do, maybe just a little bit above the knee is fine. Please try to wear stockings or tights or something. If you do have that, I think you don't necessarily have to. I think you could get away with not wearing stockings. But as long as you have like an appropriate length skirt, then that's fine. Pencil skirts are fine. I wore a dress and I wore a blazer my first day, and then the second day I wore another dress and wore like cardigan. But it was nice, professional. So that's my advice for that. Any additions to anything, guys? Guys or women either? Okay.
For guys, there's one guy who,
sorry. Okay.
There's one guy who loves his Disney, so he had like a Disney design, like a Mickey design tie, and I think like that sort of thing is fine. I think as long as it's subtle but not like loud. There's another ALT who has a Pikachu. He has a Pikachu tie, which for formal events, my BOE, my city told him that he can't wear that for like the graduation, those important ceremonies, but he wears it for anything else that's suit and tie, but not super formal. So
I think maybe like observation day is fine, but not like graduation or something.
Yes, you probably don't want to go too, or guys, you probably don't want to go too loud. or too like I don't want to say inappropriate, too fashionable. I guess you put it. Yeah.
Yeah, too crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Japan, so.
Yeah.
And also just pack some pretty casual stuff as well for orientation, because you're not gonna, like, once work is done, you can change into something more comfortable.
Yes.
Don't go out in the town on your suit,
You will
because you'll
want
just
to.
get messed up, and it's
Yeah.
a million degrees up there, and you'll probably just die of heat stroke or something. Yeah. So get some
Absolutely,
t-shirts and
man.
shorts in your carry-on as well as your suits.
Oh, handkerchief too.
Yeah. Although you can get those at 7-Eleven.
Very good. Good. Yeah. You can. Yeah.
I think I still have myself, like, this is the handkerchief that I got from 7-Eleven when I arrived in orientation.
Nice. Okay, Rebecca, do you have? I think you had some stuff to add too.
Yeah, when you said stockings, I instantly just, felt like I had to talk about that. So my understanding of the way those things are perceived is that it adds a lot of modesty. So if you are a little bit on the line with your skirt length, adding dark colored stockings will kind of give you a little bit of cover. And like that slightly above the knee skirt becomes more acceptable if you've got black tights on.
Right.
And it seems to be that the rule is you are supposed to be wearing those stockings at all times if you were wearing a skirt or a dress. But the rule is a little flexible for younger women. So sometimes, I've had a situation where I had a really bad run in my stockings and I had to take them off. And some of the female teachers were kind of concerned and they thought I would be stressed, but they tried to make me feel better, going, "Oh, it's okay, you're young, so you can kind of get away with it. We know you wanted to follow kind of dress code." And as for other parts of your body that you'd want to be cognizant of being perceived as a little risque in Japanese perspective, like your shoulders. Your shoulders are so alluring. You've got to cover those bad boys up.
I promise, guys, it's a thing. They're snickering, but like it's a thing.
I'm completely I
yeah. Right here, this is the cat's meow, and you've got to cover up that shame, or everyone will just not be able to focus because of
Japan.
Yeah. But, different topic though.
So I'm gonna say that it has come out that you can get away with things that are sheer, for some of those things, like not sheer here, obviously, but like sheer here is okay and considered decent, consider covering it, but the color matters. If it's white or pink, then it's cute, and kind of innocent, and it works. But if you're doing black, then that reads as sexy. So you can get away with like wearing things, in this kind of vicinity that don't fully cover if it's one of those colors that is going to read as innocent. But if you go with black, then people will get a very different perspective on it.
I think those kind of things are more available as nightwear here, actually. But if you happen to bring something like that to Japan, it's probably fine if you want to wear it like in your placement and you're like going out and stuff. Just for Tokyo orientation purposes, probably just don't wear something like that. It's just safer. I'm just saying, like in general, like if you just want to be safe, here's the safest bet, guys.
Yeah, in a Japanese business context, always go for safe until you've seen the full range of what Japanese people around you.
Yeah, it's a good rule of thumb, I think. Yeah. Okay. All right. So anything else to add about wearing like dress code at Tokyo orientation? Like, going off what Nash said, definitely bring some stuff that you're going to want to change into after, because you're not going to want to wear your businessy stuff like after that. You're going to be like, I'm hot. I want to go out and get food. It's going to be hot outside. Just wear something comfortable and kind of light, because the weather will be quite muggy. It'll be like officially summertime when you guys arrive, and it's going to be muggy and it's going to be humid. It's going to be atsui desu ne, and yes, and that's all I have to say about that.
I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but actually this summer has been surprisingly cool.
It has been.
It has been
suspiciously cool. So
yeah,
there's a decent chance that when you come, it won't be as horrible as it was, say, last year, but it'll still be pretty gross. So don't. Yeah, it's a small blessing.
Yeah.
Well, our hot days, the days that we've had sunshine and stuff, it's been quite hot so far, so I'm a little bit worried about summer. But it also might turn out to be fine. So, don't know until you get here.
You could just arrive and it could be a massive typhoon. Who knows what's going to happen?
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
It's not quite typhoon season though. So.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're ready to move on to the next question and more about Tokyo orientation. Okay, we talked about free time already, so we're good on that. Oh, expenses, like money wise, like what kind of expenses did you have at Tokyo orientation? Like money. Rebecca, how about you? What kind of money did you have to spend for things?
I think it was really just whatever you chose to do with your free time. So I did not worry about it at all. Like, I think I brought over less than $100 basically, and I didn't spend almost any of it. I just maybe got a couple of things from the convenience store down below the plaza because like everything is pretty much provided. You're in your accommodation. Like they have the meals set up for you. You don't really need anything unless you're deciding to go out and have a little bit of an adventure. Maybe vending machines. You might want to use the vending machines in the hotel. But yeah, you don't need to worry about having a lot of money on hand.
Okay. All right, June. So what about expenses for you?
It's pretty much the same. At most, I think I grabbed like a beer with a friend. I went to get ramen, and I went to a game center. And my friend got sick, so I picked up a couple things from the convenience store. But aside from that, maybe 2,000 yen tops, maybe 3,000. But I didn't spend almost anything. So yeah.
Okay. All right, and Nash, what about your money situation?
Yeah, same thing. There's no like essential expenses that you need to, like, everything for orientation is kind of there for you. Just for like food and stuff. Did we have lunch? Was lunch provided? I don't think
lunch is usually provided, yeah. But you don't have to go out and do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely forgot about lunch. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, no, like just food and stuff is what you're going to be spending your money on, really, unless you go crazy at 7-Eleven for some crazy reason. I don't know.
I remember 7-Eleven has some kind of fun looking, like I don't know. I mean, it's meant to allure the tourists, and I was a little bit allured. They had like these Hello Kitty face masks. I was like, oh my God, I've got to have them. And I bought them. And then they weren't actually very good, but they were really cute in the packaging and really scary on my face. So there will be some interesting, odds and ends in that convenience store.
Oh yeah, there's a convenience store at the bottom floor of
like the basement floor. Yeah.
I think it comes down to what you end up doing in Tokyo. Like, if you go to the robot restaurant, you're gonna spend a good $100 a man easy there, for example.
Yeah, don't do that on the first.
Yeah.
Oh no, where's Lily? She needs to tell us how much she spent.
I know her personally, and she's on top of things with her finances. She probably had a spreadsheet before she left the States.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
I'm sure she probably planned it out beforehand. Yeah. So if you're gonna do something like that, maybe just pre-plan it and just be like, oh, I'm expecting to spend this much, or I don't want to spend more than this much money on things, if that's what you want to do. For me, I spent money on, I'd say, like, that when I got there, I was a tiny bit hungry, so I got some onigiri from the kombini, and then the next night, the first night, you have a big welcome dinner. Like, you do have lunch, like lunch and breakfast, lunch, and dinner the first night are all sort of provided, especially breakfast and lunch, in like these big rooms. So you don't have to worry about going out to lunch. The lunch is I'll be honest, sometimes not all good. But if you don't feel that, you can go out, you can go get something from konbinis or whatever. You probably don't have time to go eat lunch, like go to a restaurant, eat lunch, but you can grab something and eat it. But for money wise, I actually didn't go to that welcome dinner that first night. I was like, nope, I was just not feeling it. But it is a free dinner. It's like free buffet style dinner. And it's a good chance to meet some people. But I went to the kombini again with a friend and got some food, so that wasn't very expensive. And then the third night, like I said, we did go out a little bit and go eat dinner. We ended up going to Yoshinoya, which is the gyudon place. It's a beef bowl place. So because most of the people I was with had either like never been to Japan before, or they'd been and they just really like Yoshinoya. So we were just like, let's go eat beef bowl. Let's go eat gyudon, and it was cheap. Like Yoshinoya is a chain restaurant, so it was cheap. But we went to a game center after that, and so we didn't end up spending a whole lot of money on things in general.
I want to step in and say, actually, this is a little after orientation, but the first time I remember needing money was when we were traveling to our placements, and I was in a group that needed to take the Shinkansen, and there was a point when, they kind of herded us and said, like, okay, now is the time where you buy your bento to be eaten on the train. And so, like, that was the point where I actually needed to have a little money. But food in Japan is generally really affordable. So, yeah, you're not going to need a lot of money.
It's so affordable, actually, that even when you go to Disneyland, it's only like 500 yen or like 1,000 yen for food. I was shocked. So
movie theaters.
Pretty good.
In the United States, the food is so expensive,
Yeah.
and the tickets are kind of middle ground. Here, the tickets are expensive, but the food is so cheap.
Yeah.
My Toho Cinema in Akita is pretty expensive. So I don't know.
Is it really? Yeah.
Food's like 700-800 yen. I'm like, oh, no thanks for popcorn. I don't get popcorn that bad.
Yeah. I guess it does depend on where you go then. So.
I'm from the UK, and all these prices are peanuts. Peanuts. You need to take out a loan to go to the cinema in the UK.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, it's off topic a little bit, but like, yeah. Ticket. I mean, we'll just say it. Like, tickets here are really expensive, but the food is actually quite affordable. Just wanted to say that.
So if you go to like a really nice hotel for food, like, which will be like a common thing with your schools.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different topic here that can be talked about. But yeah, in general, I think for Tokyo orientation purposes, then you don't need a ton of money to go out and enjoy yourself. If you do need something like money wise, I know my year there were some people who wanted to go to Uniqlo, which is really close, because they needed like a shirt, or they wanted to like buy a few basics. They needed money for that. There's really close to the hotel, there's an area that's got a lot of shopping. So if you want to go and do a little bit of shopping, then you might need some money for that too. But as far as like expenses getting to your placement, I don't know. For us, I took a bus, so we didn't have anything. Like, I don't know. Rebecca, you said you took Shinkansen. Did you guys have to pay for tickets, or how was that handled for you guys?
No, they took care of it.
Okay. And Nash and June, how about you guys? Did you have any like travel expenses? Nash, how about you?
No, we just got on the bus and then got off the bus.
Okay. And June?
I can't remember. I think we took the NEX train to we went to Haneda. I think we had a bus to Haneda, and then we took the flight to Akita. So
was there anything that you had to pay for that, like a travel expenses?
I think I don't think so. I think we I just remember picking up some little noshing food, and that's about it, from like vending machines.
All right, cool. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. And as far as leaving to get to your placement, so what did you do? And I guess we just talked about that too. It's like, how did you get to your placement? So that the third day of Tokyo orientation, which is the Wednesday, that's when everybody leaves for their placement, right? What was that like for you guys? Like, going to your placements, and you can talk a little bit more about that in detail, like from the time you left Tokyo, I guess, to getting to your actual placement or your apartment or wherever you end up. Nash, can you start?
Okay. So the night before, we met up with one of the PAs, one of the CIR PAs from Ibaraki, came down to Tokyo just to tell us what's going to happen the next day. The next day, we woke up bright and early. We collected our, we put our carry-on luggage or whatever in like a special part of the massive orientation hall. They went and hung out with the other Ibaraki peoples. That everyone basically just goes to the group that they're going to be leaving with, whichever their prefecture is. And then from there, people kind of filter out into wherever they need to go to. Our bus arrived, so we all, as a group, went onto the bus. I think people who need to go to the airport went to the airport. People need to get to the train station went to the train station. And then we took the bus from Tokyo up to Mito in Ibaraki. We stopped over at a motorway, like a service station along the way to get some refreshments and things, let people go to the toilet. And then when we got to I think we arrived at, I think it was at the Kensho, the prefectural sort of government building, or maybe the BOE building. They may be the same building. I can't even remember. We went to some building, and then all the new jets go into this room. We meet our new, met our new supervisors. There was like a small sort of ceremony thing that happened. We got some bits of paper which were covered in kanji, and which I haven't really looked at ever since, but I imagine were official documents of some variety. And then we kind of paired up with our supervisors, and they took us off into wherever, and then that's a whole other separate thingamajiggy, I suppose. Okay, yeah, that's basically how I got from Keio Plaza to Ibaraki.
Okay, and June, what was your experience like getting to your placement?
So I remember we at the Keio Plaza we all split into, I think it was blocks. So I was in part of the Iwate Hokkaido Akita block, and then we split from there to our prefectures to and then I think the third day, we all I remember we got into groups. We waited for the buses to take us to Haneda. We all got and we took what do you call those? Like puddle jumpers. The tiny little plane, the little shuttle planes, from Haneda to Akita Airport, and then from Akita Airport we split into what areas we were in. So Akita there's a north, and then there's central area, and then the south ALTs, and then or jets. I'm sorry, and then we kind of all split from there, and then we went to our respective cities from that point. What was it? For my city, anyone who's in the north, we took another plane from Akita Airport to another local airport up north, and then we had our corresponding cities pick us up basically from the airport, and they had big signs and everything for us. So.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so Rebecca, what was your experience like getting to your placement from Tokyo?
Well, my experience was getting on a bus in the morning, which took us to, I think, probably to the station, or maybe we walked to no, I think we got on a bus, and we took the Shinkansen down to Kobe because I'm placed in Hyogo Prefecture, and then from there, I think I took another train to a location where like some more of the ALTs from my kind of area were gathering, and then our new supervisor from our Board of Education came and picked us up. And I would say kind of the overarching thing to be aware of is that your contracting organization has taken responsibility for you, and so they've probably paid for all of your travel expenses, and they've planned to get you from here to there, and they've taken care of that thing. And that's kind of the norm. People make arrangements, but it doesn't always occur to them to tell us things. So I think that causes a lot of anxiety for jets who are not really told, that the hows and whys of what is happening and what is going to happen. But it is in hand, and someone has paid, a lot of money and spent a lot of time figuring out exactly like how to get you from Tokyo to your apartment or to your placement or whatever it is. And yeah, they're invested in getting you there, and they'll get you there.
Yeah, I know for me, actually the night before, it was our PAs came to Tokyo orientation. I don't know if your PAs came or somebody came to like help you like explain, but we met in groups and they told us about what would happen on the Wednesday. and we did meet early in the morning, and we took a bus to Yamanashi. We did have a little stopover for like food and stuff, like at a rest stop. But we ended up at our passport center, which is in our main city of Kofu. And then our like everybody's supervisors or whoever was designated came to pick them up. My supervisor came to pick me up, as well as like a current jet who was there, who was here in my city as well. So she came with me, which was quite nice because that meant that like somebody was there that I could like talk to, and she knew everything, and then actually knew her from before as well. So that was quite nice. But yeah, like they told us I think the night before like what we would be doing is they were like, hey, meet here at this time, and we'll all get on a bus and we'll go together. So there wasn't any like miscommunication, but I could see where, you know, if you're with people, it might happen that they don't tell you like, oh, you're going here, and then we're gonna get on this thing, we're gonna go here and stuff. So, but also like, yeah, we say this to say like, don't freak out about it. Like, you will get to your placement, and things will be okay. Just it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Okay. All right. So the next thing about so leaving for your placement, on that. So did you guys just take your luggage with you? You just took all of your Tokyo orientation luggage with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, June. Yeah, everybody. I think it's pretty much like a yes or no question, right? Yeah. Somebody asked like, what did you do with your Tokyo orientation baggage?
I think I did send my one carry-on ahead of me and just traveled with my backpack. Maybe I like to live dangerously, but I was just, you know, kind of figuring, well, if this doesn't show up for a week, I'm just gonna wear these two outfits and I'm gonna be fine. But it did show up, and I think actually my Board of Education people had it when I arrived. I'm not sure what happened, but
yeah. I do remember that them saying for certain areas, or maybe if you wanted to, if you had like a bigger bag, you could send it ahead. Or like I think for us it was if you didn't want to bring it down in the morning, they would put it on the bus for you, and then you just got it whenever we got in. So guys, both of you just took your luggage with you on the bus then? June? And Natsu. Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Is the answer.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, Nash. Sorry, you started to say it.
Sorry.
Okay. It's okay. Yeah. So that was your experience too. You just took your stuff on the bus with you. Yep. Okay. Alrighty. So the next one, arriving at your placement. So once you got into your placement, what happens? So what happened for you guys? June, what happened like once you got to your placement? As far as like, I guess the day that you got there, or you know, did you go to your apartment? Did you have to start work? Like, what was your experience just right after you got to your placement?
So my supervisor was at the airport to pick me up, and it was me and one other ALT. We basically shadowed him all day. He got us our he dropped us each off at our residences. He gave us our keys, and then I think, yeah, pretty much gave us our keys. My suitcases were already here by the time I got here, so I got to kind of unpack. And then he took us out to. He said, you know, give us about an hour or two to kind of like get everything settled, look around our place. Then he took us to go shopping for basic home goods at a local home goods store, so we can get like our bedding, our futons, some of the basic essentials, and at least so that we can sleep at our residences for the night. And yeah, we didn't start work until I think a week later, because it was summer vacation, so we, even when we started work, it was more like we spent the first week kind of getting acclimated to the area, seeing where our schools are, introduced to our principals, and yeah, I think that was first. I was seeing within the first 3 days. Yeah, that's what we did.
All right. Okay. Nash, how about you? What did you do once you arrived at your placement?
Much the same. I think once you get to your placement, that's when like the SID stuff really starts to kick in. Um, so everyone's experience is going to be like quite different. And likely yours will too if you're watching this. But yeah, I met up with my supervisor at that weird little ceremony thing that happened, and then she took me first to my base school, which is where all my suitcases and things were that I'd sent ahead of time. So we packed those all into her car. Then she took me to the apartment where I am now, where a man was waiting for us, and he turned on the gas and he turned on the electricity and he told us how everything worked, and he did it all in Japanese. My supervisor didn't really explain it to me, but nothing is broken since, so hopefully everything is fine. He seems to have done a good job. And then we went to, then you just end up basically being shuttled between various government and banking institutions. He take you to his town hall to get your paperwork there, take you to your to the bank to get yourself set up there. The process took a very long time for me because I was part of the residence card snafu group. So there were lots of companies and things which didn't really want to deal with people who didn't have residence cards yet. So I didn't get a bank account for my first month in Japan, which is really annoying. Um, but it just involves a lot more kind of going to places like the bank, like town hall over and over and over again until things get sorted out. And that kind of gets spread out throughout the first couple of weeks that you're there. And then yeah, just like June said, going to different schools, introducing yourselves there, getting like putting your Hako stamp or receiving your Hako stamp, and then stamping endless amounts of paperwork, none of which you'll likely understand because unless your Japanese is excellent. Um, and oh, there was something else that I was going to say, but it seems to have completely left my mind. Oh nope, it might come back to
No.
me. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, if it comes back to you, let us know.
Mhm.
All right, Rebecca, what was your experience like getting to your placement?
All right, so I think I arrived to my placement on Awaji Island relatively late at night. So all that happened that first day was my supervisors carried my luggage up the stairs, and said, like, have a good night. We'll be back in the morning. Look around your house, see what you need. Because the next day when they came and picked me up, we went out on the town and had many adventures, including going to a home goods store where I think this is very ESID. I don't think most boards of education do this, but mine said, like, we'll get you like a certain dollar amount worth of stuff to furnish your apartment. Like, if there's stuff that you need, you can't live without. Like, do you need a towel? Do you have a towel? How about a pillow? Like, dish soap? Like, what do you need to get started? And we did that. And then also all of the little quests, like going to City Hall, going to the bank to get set up there, getting my phone. They were really on top of that. And also I had to have a car, so I went to my mechanic and insurance guy. It's usually, I guess it's usual in Japan for that to be the same person. Your mechanic is who does your insurance. And I did paperwork there, which I did not understand at all, which was a little intimidating. And let's see, other things. I went to my schools, once each. My supervisor, was telling me, like, okay, pay attention. This is how you get here. Remember this route. So like that was a little stressful, but they were both pretty easy to find again later. Just hung out there for a couple of hours. It felt a little bit like being dropped off at a play date, kind of anxiously circled around the Japanese teachers who wanted to talk to me and I wanted to talk to them, but we were all just a little shy through that language barrier. But I didn't actually have to work for a little while because it's summer vacation. It's not super crucial for us to be sitting at our desks. There's not really anything for us to be doing. And I remember when I started going to work, really the only kind of thing I had to do was sorting through my desk and figuring out like how the lessons plans worked, what I was kind of looking at. And then I spent a lot of time like studying Japanese and especially getting a self-introduction down, because at that point it was really clear that, every time I'm introduced to a new person or to a new group of people, like the staff room or something, I'm expected to say something. Just kind of like that basic, hello, my name is blah, blah, blah. Please call me blah, blah, blah. I'm from this place. Nice to meet you. If you can say that in Japanese, it'll make everything a lot smoother. Yeah, it was pretty painless, like that transitional period.
Yeah, so you kind of answered our next question actually of like, what did you guys do? No, it's cool, totally fine. But like, what did you guys do like after you got to your placement, kind of before you started work? But when did you actually have to start work? Did you have to start when you got there, like after you got settled in, or what was expected of you in that time before like school actually started? Nash, what was your experience?
Um, there's like for me it was I was expected to come at least to work every day unless there was crazy weather, like the weather was really really bad or something, because I didn't have a car at this point. And my supervisor felt sorry for me having to send me in like on my rickety secondhand bike that they'd given me yesterday into school. um but yeah, I was expected to come to work. Usually there's some administrative bits and pieces that need to get sorted out. And then at some point during the day, me and my supervisor would get in her car and then go off to whatever sort of thing needed to get set up for me on that day. And that was kind of the pattern for the first week at least. And then the days when I went to visit my other schools that I was going to be teaching at, is generally I'd go there in the morning, introduce myself to the staff, and my supervisor would show me what I need to know basically for each school. Sometimes they'd like show me around the school itself, and then I would usually then leave early on that day to come home because there would be nothing for me to do. um yeah, typically if you're a publicly employed ALT, like if you're an ALT that's working at a public school, odds are you're going to be expected to come to work on all work days regardless of whether you've got anything to do or not. But it's a good way to get acclimated to your office. It's a good way to get used to like where everything is, where the toilets are, where the exits are. That's the one. I've remembered the thing that I've forgotten from before. Make sure you bring yourself some indoor shoes. Make sure you bring yourself some indoor shoes, especially if you've got a shoe size that may not be easily found in Japan. Um, get indoor shoes for every school that you're going to be going to. Like count them all up and bring that many pairs of shoes, because that'll basically be what your feet live in for your entire time on jet, basically at work. And it's worth getting some decent ones that you're quite happy with instead of something cheap, cheerful that you found in a in hard off or wherever.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little after because I actually do want to add to that. But first, June, how about your experience, like starting work, and when did you actually have to start work? What did you do?
Yeah, it was summer vacation, so we didn't get to do much. My school, when I first got there, the first 3 days were considered it was considered a working day, but there were no schools in session, so I was kind of forced to take my 3 of my vacation days. Um, yeah, it was a little bit of a bummer. So I automatically lost 3 vacation days. Um, this year we talked to we talked to our boss, and he's like, okay, we'll find you something to do. So at least that's changing. So again, he said, your every school is going to be different. Um, and then my first couple of days was literally desk warming. I sat there, looked at my desk, sorted it out. I saw things that the previous ALT left me. Um, Most of the teachers were doing things. My Japanese was definitely not as good as it's gotten a little bit better now, but I had no idea what they were talking about. Plus, they speak in a dialect that was a little bit hard for me to understand at first. So I had to kind of. It took me a few weeks to get at, get used to that. But a lot of us just trying to find something to do. So I walked around the school, kind of got familiar with where the classrooms were, where the gym was. Um, it was a little bit hard for me to talk to the teachers because they spoke zero English, and I didn't speak enough Japanese to have a conversation. So I just did my best to kind of just. I did bring some Japanese books for me to study, so I also had that when during the summer vacation days. So and I also prepared my self introduction PowerPoints, since I knew I had to do them for junior high and for elementary school. So it took some time to do that as well.
Okay. All right, Rebecca, I think you had something to add on too.
Yeah, so first of all, on this topic, I was going to say that in my specific situation, I think I started working after about 3 days, something like that. But yeah, it was just kind of mostly at my desk. And clubs will be ongoing during the summer, probably if you're high school or junior high school, so you can go and kind of look at those things. Don't feel like you're tied to your desk. But this is also the time of the year when your Japanese coworkers have maybe the most free time, and they might have some things going on. Um, my coworkers, some of the female coworkers, said, what we're gonna do after lunch is time for Billy's boot camp, and so we went up to actually the English classroom and had the big TV, and we did exercise videos together, which was it was so hot, but it was really, really fun, and it was kind of a good way to break the ice, especially because that's a very low language level requirement activity. And people tried to kind of break the ice with food and things like that. People brought in ice cream. So you might try that kind of thing too if you want to be able to reach out and connect to your coworkers. Food is a universal language. But I also want to say in my neighboring city, they have a very different situation where they don't work their first summer. They get their first summer off. So, they don't have to go to work until basically like a couple of days before the school term starts. So like your situation could be, it just really depends on your city. You might need to settle in for a whole lot of time, kind of at your desk, finding ways to be like, relatively productive and entertained at work, or you might have time to explore or need to entertain yourself at your apartment. So just kind of prepare a little bit emotionally for just wherever the wind takes you.
Right. Yeah. I have a few friends. I have one specifically in Mie actually, who when he first got there, that he had to start work immediately. And yeah, it was very much like he had to stay like at the BOE and basically do nothing. It was very much desk warming, as we call it. And so he like studied Japanese. He got used to kind of what he had to do, but as far as like actual work, there wasn't any. It was just a requirement to be there. So you might fall into that situation. My own personal experience, I actually had like your neighboring city. My BOE and my schools, they knew that sorry, I can't talk. They knew that me and the other ALT who came in, that we had to get settled in, and so they didn't have us come in. They did have us come in for like introduction to our schools in that first week, but other than that, like coming to actual school it just wasn't necessary because the kids weren't there, and even like some of the teachers didn't go every day. So when I first got to my placement, and the first few days we did pretty much the same thing of like we went to City Hall, I got registered as a citizen, got my Honko, I got my bank set up, I got my phone, which the phone was very important to me because I didn't have any Wi-Fi or pocket Wi-Fi. This apartment here, nobody had lived in it for 2 years, so that I wasn't coming into a predecessor's apartment. My pred actually had a different apartment, so I didn't have any like Wi-Fi or anything to do. So I was like, I need a phone. So we did that, and we did go shopping and kind of like especially since my apartment was empty, I needed like pretty much everything. Thankfully, like old preds did leave me some stuff, but I like basics like a pillow and towel, like you said, were very necessary. And then work. I did get introduced to my schools, and just I didn't have to go. Besides those first days, I didn't really have to go. I know in my elementary school, one of my elementary schools, they had me sit through an insurance meeting because they happened to have that insurance meeting at the same time. So I had to sit there for like an hour and listen to like this Japanese. I had no idea what was going on. Turned out to be like an insurance presentation that happens sometimes. But then after that, they had me do like my introduction, and then they did a shitsumon corner. So they did a question corner for me, and like people asked me like, "What color do you like?" and "What sport do you like?" and that kind of thing. So it was really fun. That was a really fun thing to do. but yeah, just the before I started work, before school, like the first day of work was like the first day of school for me. And before that, I just went and visited schools and then just like hung out and tried to get like settled into life here in Japan. I did get a car because I had to, and yeah, it was just like trying to get settled in, which was quite nice. It's quite nice to have that opportunity and not have to start work immediately. I did work on my self introduction as well. So, yeah, Rebecca, you look like you want to say something else.
I wanted to say for the self-introduction, I didn't really understand this until about 10 minutes before, but when school starts, you're probably going to be expected to introduce yourself up on stage to the student body. So, I mean, you don't need to stress too hard about that. This doesn't have to be a masterpiece, but don't get caught off guard and have something prepared. I mean, they'll probably say English or Japanese is okay. You know, so if you feel like you're not going to do the Japanese at all, like that's fine. But they won't understand you if you do it in English. And this is way back when, but when the indoor shoes were mentioned, and I wanted to say a lot of times online it says like slippers. People wear slippers in the house or slippers inside. And so sometimes people misinterpret that to mean like actual slippers, like comfy house slippers. And at school, that's not what people are wearing. People are usually wearing like tennis shoes, things that are comfortable to be standing in for a long period of time, which is also why you'll see the very excellent characteristic Japanese teacher fashion at special events of people wearing very formal, like white shirt, black tie, suits, and then the lime green tennis shoes.
Yep.
Oh, what kind of indoor shoes do you have, Rebecca?
I do have two sets. I have a pair of dark blue ballet flats, and I have like gray and pink tennis shoes.
Okay. And so, June, what kind of indoor shoes did you get? Did you bring with you?
Yeah, I have. I bought both of them in Japan. I got one pair of just very simple slip-ons, slip-on shoes, and then I have another pair of Pumas because sometimes I play basketball, or I'll play tag with the kids during the recess time. So I need something I can run around in. So I have those two pairs of shoes for that reason.
Yeah. Nash, how about you? What's your indoor shoe situation like?
I got a bunch of different little slip-on loafer things from home, and I brought them to Japan. Just like a pair for each of my schools. I just keep there basically. But yeah, no, it is pretty. You can basically wear whatever you want. Just wear something that's comfortable and not like actual sleepwear, basically. But no, I have one of my favorite JTEs has indoor Crocs, and then when he goes home, he changes into his outdoor Crocs.
So big.
He's just got Crocs life. It's just Crocs all the way down. He's my hero, and I hope to live a life like him one day.
Crocs or Oshare.
They are quite fashionable, or they're just like very very comfy, so people wear them a lot.
They swear by them.
I wanted to say something I forgot. So like I earlier I mentioned I have two pairs of shoes, but those are both for indoor usage. So sometimes, depending on what you do with the kids, you might also want a pair of shoes that work for outside around the school. So one of the things that I do is sometimes we spend a lot of time with our special education classes, and one of those boys, wants to play soccer outside. Neither he or I really understand soccer, but sometimes I kick the ball with him. And they also have, kind of this special project where they maintain a garden. So sometimes I go out and pick around in the garden. So I have a pair of tennis shoes that I keep actually in that special education classroom by the door for outdoor activities. So that's something that might come up.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so my indoor shoes, when I came over, I brought one pair with the intention of taking them to all three schools. Quickly found out that didn't work because I would frequently forget them at another school. So it was fine. What I ended up doing, and I'm not proud of it, sometimes I would just wear my outdoor shoes and nobody knew the difference. But I know I'm scandalous. But it was never, they were never like dirty or anything. They were always like I would wipe them off and stuff before going indoors and stuff. I know I'm a terrible person.
Well, I mean, as long as nobody
So
do it. I actually
nobody knew.
did it a similar
Yeah.
time at my gym. I was, I couldn't find my indoor shoes, so I just like wiped off the bottom of regular tennis,
Yeah.
put them in a bag.
Yeah. So finally I did get some more shoes, and I wear Converse a lot. So like that's fine. I have a pair of like off-brand Converse. I'll go to like, the golf or a recycle shop and buy like 1,000 yen pair of like guys shoes, of like guys off-brand Converse or something, and that's what I use. I think I have a pair. I actually found a really cool looking pair of shoes back home when I went over Christmas a couple years ago, and I use those for my elementary shoes because they're like bright and sparkly and fun. I like to be very bright at elementary school. And then junior high, I alternate. I have like a pair of nicer flats for like nicer occasions that I'll bring in. And then I wear my like off-brand Converse. And then in the winter, because it's cold in the schools, because schools don't have indoor heating and air a lot of the time.
Or if they don't use it.
Yes. 2 years ago, over Christmas, I went home and I bought a pair of off-brand UGG boots. It was the best decision of my life because winter, they're so nice. And like every time my teachers see them, they're like, they look so warm. And I'm like, they are. So it's really nice to have them in the winter. Like, and it's fine to wear them. It's fine to wear them in the school because, they're appropriate footwear. It's fine. So. Okay. Anything else on the indoor shoes bits, guys?
Just don't wear slippers.
Yeah.
Like I said, they are. No.
They school slippers are usually like they're made for like temporary guests, so they're usually like a vinyl type material. At least at my schools, they are. They're not very comfortable, and they slip. Like you're trying to walk upstairs and you're just like, I'm gonna fall down the stairs because of that. Yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, sometimes people take that really literally because they don't have any context for this. They've never lived in Japan. So
right.
People wear slippers in the store. That's so weird. But I'm gonna bring my bunny slippers. And Japanese people will understand why you did that. They'll maybe just think that's just kind of your personal thing that you have going on.
I mean, I think I either had a friend or I heard somebody say once that they did have like a pair of like Cookie Monster slippers or like actual slippers that they would wear in class sometimes because it was cold and they're like, I don't care. So, yeah. I mean, hey, I'm like, you know what? If you want to do it, go for it. Yeah. But also just have appropriate footwear for the appropriate times, So
shoes are kind of the wild, wild west, but kind of be making a conscious decision if you decide to go with Cookie Monster slippers. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
All
right. Okay. June said he just wants Cookie Monster slippers. Okay. All right, guys. So we are now over 2 hours, and I think we've talked all kinds of things about Tokyo orientation. So do you guys have any last bits that you want to talk about, or any advice that you would like to give as a final sign off for us before we end here? June, let's start with you. Any last comments?
So I just remembered something that you said about bringing the messenger bag when you walk around Tokyo. That is a really fantastic idea because I'm going to show you my bag that I brought to Tokyo orientation. It is big.
Yeah.
And it was really, really, really a pain in the butt to carry with me. So having that messenger bag to walk around, yes. So being able to walk around comfortably is also important. Oh, and I would also say hydrate yourself. Drink a lot of water. You will forget to drink water. You really and I remember in Keio Plaza, they had a lot of water stations. Definitely take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be dehydrated for the thing. And
right.
You will have a lot of fun. Don't stress too much.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be once you get to Tokyo, it'll be great.
Yeah. All right, Nash. Any last comments from you?
Yes. So in every room at Keio Plaza, there's like a wardrobe thing that's got like towels and things. At the bottom of that wardrobe, there are 2 pairs of slippers. They're not very good slippers, but they're great. Just take them.
I have none.
Or your roommate.
If you have guests who come around to visit you in your apartment or whatever, give it like you've got some slippers for them. Brilliant. If you need like special slippers because your bathroom is kind of getting all funky, you got some slippers. Great. I highly recommend, and they're really flat, so they're really easily packed. So take those Keio Plaza slippers. They can afford new ones. It's fine. Just take them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Tokyo orientation is the same for everyone. So all the information that you've seen online or heard today is going to probably be like pretty relevant to your own experience. After orientation, it becomes very much in every situation is a different kind of thing. The general sort of patterns as to how things go, but a lot of the time, you won't know exactly what's going to happen until it's kind of happening, basically. But this is okay. Things like the JET program has been going on for decades now. People have generally got into a rhythm of how things work and how things ought to go. And even though some things might be confusing at the time, generally speaking, you'll be fine. So I wouldn't worry about things too much. Enjoy the mystification, the weirdness, the strange like sense that you don't really know what's happening. Because I think part of the JET program is being like thrown into an environment that you don't fully understand and then learning about it, learning how you can adapt and change your own sort of perspective to meet and match the circumstances that you're in now. It's going to be great. Tokyo orientation, it's good. It's a good place to meet people. It's a good place to learn a bit about JET. And it's definitely much better than coming straight off Narita and going straight to your placement because that'll suck. So, yeah,
Exactly.
No,
Yes.
Mm.
Okay. And Rebecca, you still with us? I think your video might be.
My phone just got cut off by low power,
Okay.
so you can't.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we see your icon. So okay, we can hear your voice though. So if you have any last comments, please go ahead.
All right, I am gonna say that one of the kind of things you're going to pick up, a social skill set in Japan is learning how to just adapt to being all these new situations and figuring out exactly like just kind of like how to go with the flow, how to see what's going on around you and adapt yourself to it, and also not really panic about not having control. And I would say that at this point you have done the hardest part. You've gotten into the JET program. They want you there. There are people who are very invested in getting you to your placement and getting you from point A to B. So I would say, you need to make your list and check it twice to make sure you have, what you need. Obviously, if you don't have your passport, you're not coming to Japan. But other than those kinds of things, there's really not much that you need to worry about at this point. You did it. Pat yourself on the back and just try to retain as much as you can from Tokyo orientation and just have a good time.
All right, thanks. Okay, and my final comments on the situation. In addition to what everyone else said, ditto, make sure you hydrate. Just don't freak out. And I say that as in like try to stay calm. You're gonna feel overwhelmed, of course. I think a lot of people come in, they feel overwhelmed, and you get to the hotel, and I think everyone probably has that thought, even fleetingly, of like, holy crap, what have I done? Oh my God, I want to go home, like right now. Like you get to the hotel and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I'm panicking. I don't want to be here. But that's the jet lag talking. That's the overwhelmingness of it talking. That's you've been through like 2 or 3 days of emotionalness and anxiety and getting ready for this, and suddenly you're there, and it's like it just all hits you sometimes. And not for everybody, like I said, sometimes fleetingly, but just take that time to just take some time to calm down, and just think like you came here for a reason, and you've been working for this and you've been wanting this, and you're here, and Tokyo orientation, to me, I like Nash said, I think it's nice to have, because you don't have to go straight from Narita to your placement. Like I think for me that would have been very overwhelming. And I think Tokyo orientation was a good opportunity to, like, for me to get kind of calm and to get accustomed to Japan. I've been to Japan a couple of times before, but I got used to Japan again, and also like I got to know some people, and got to meet people, and just got to I don't know, just have that time for me to just be calm before everything else came at me. So yeah, I think just enjoy Tokyo orientation and enjoy being in Tokyo. And then just even if you're like, oh, this is useless, whatever, just enjoy it. Just try to enjoy it as much as you can, and you'll be okay. You guys will be okay. I promise. We promise, right? We promise you'll be okay. Yeah.
Thank you, promise.
Only a couple days. It's fine.
Yes.
Oh, one thing I was gonna add is also try to use the time to network with people while you can. Make some new friends. Everyone's in the same boat in Tokyo orientation, so you might as well just kind of. It's a good way to bond with other people, and then when you make friends, make new Facebook friends, Instagram friends. You all can like talk about like during winter break. Oh, hey, let's go to Okinawa, or hey, let's go to Tokyo together, and let's go check out these places that we didn't get to since orientation. It's a good way to kind of make friends throughout the country as well. So.
All right. Any final comments, guys?
There's also going to be one point when you are specifically grouped with all the people from your prefecture.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that everyone does, at first is they're going around, I'm going here, where are you? And like trying to find someone from the same area. But actually at one point, you're all going to be put together, at this standing dinner, which has a great dessert selection, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure to snag at least one, but try not to be the person who takes 8, because I didn't get any and it was sad. Yeah, so you're gonna have a chance to meet up with the people in your area, and then the people from the neighboring prefectures are gonna also be right next door, and you'll have a chance to mingle. And so that's a great time to make connections with people who are going through the exact same thing as you are.
All right. Okay, Nash, anything else from you?
Nope. Don't drink too much.
Nope. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't think too much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of dehydration, be careful if you drink too much too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It feels like you're hydrating, but you're actually dehydrating yourself.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
The acai, it's called super dry for a reason.
Oh.
That Japanese humidity, that catches even Japanese people off guard every year. There's medical emergencies from that, because you don't really understand just how much hydration you're losing through sweat in the humidity. So really, really drink more than you think you need to. Because it's just not worth that drama, unless you kind of like you're ready for like the notoriety of being the person who passed out at orientation. That would be a way to really get your name out there. So if that's what you're going for, avoid the orange juice, I guess.
Someone in my group went home during orientation. They were like, nope.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that.
They were like, nope.
Yeah.
Back to Narita I go. I wonder how they feel about that now.
Yes.
I hope they're happy with it.
Same.
Right.
But I can't imagine being like, oh gosh, why did I get back on that plane? Take me back. I wonder if that luggage is still in Japan. I don't know.
I would hope not.
Oh my god, the logistics of getting your luggage.
I think maybe she took Lily's suit and then flew back home. The perfect crime. Okay. Enough.
All right. We've ended on Lily's suit got stolen by the girl who went back home. Was it a girl? I don't know. It might have been a dude. I don't know.
It's definitely my favorite part.
Would have been someone else who would have been paired with her logically. And also Lily's pretty small. So she said they were about the same size. So to me that points to petite women.
Anything could have happened to that suit, honestly. And on that note, the mystery Lily suit continues. And so we will end it here. Just want to say a quick thank you to June and Nash and Rebecca for joining us today. Thank you guys so much for volunteering all of your time to answer questions, and to the burning questions about Tokyo orientation and the JET program. And also thank you to everybody watching tonight in America and also in the UK, and as well as today in Japan. And thank you for watching. If you're watching the YouTube video, thank you for watching that. Thank you to Lily for being a great co-host while she was here. Love you, girl. And also, guys, if you have any other questions about Tokyo orientation or the JET program or anything, you can go to the Incoming JETS Facebook group 2019, and you can ask those questions there. A lot of questions have already been answered, so we ask that you please check the search bar first, see if your question has been answered, and if not, then try to ask your question. We've been getting a lot of repeat questions lately, so that's why we say please use the search function on it.
Especially
but if, yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
I was saying, especially about phones.
Yes, phones get a lot of questions usually. But yes, so but if you have any other questions, feel free to post them, and we'll do our best to answer them. There's like we said in the other live stream, there are literally 2,000 of us who are ready with answers. But yes, but we hope that this live stream has been helpful to you. We hope that we've answered some of your questions today, and we will see you guys hopefully in Japan. All right, bye guys.
Bye.
See you.
Yes. Okay.
I don't have